Hey everyone, this is Juan Advice with Remax Next. Today I want to talk about the riskiness in buying a house. How risky is buying a house? Let's start the opposite way. Let's do a scenario where the risk is 100%, the worst possible way to buy a house. Let's go through that right now. Imagine buying a house at 100% risk. What would that look like? First of all, you wouldn't look at the house, you wouldn't see it. Let's pretend it's in a different state, so you can't even walk by it. You don't go inside, you don't check the condition of it, you don't get to see any of the mechanicals. And then when it comes time to make an offer, you just say yes. You don't find out what the properties around it sold for. That's risk. That's full on 100% buying a house with risk. Luckily for you and for everyone, that's not how we buy houses. The first order of protection against that risk is a realtor, someone like me. You're going to meet with me and we're going to talk about what you want in a house so we can kind of line up with what you really want to buy. Then I'm going to send you to a lender and the lender's going to pre-approve you to buy a house. Once we go house hunting, you're going to go into the first house I show you and you're going to be nervous, you're going to be happy, a mix of emotions. You're going to say, oh my God, this is becoming real. I can't believe it. And as you're entering the house, I'm right behind you because I held the door open for you, of course. I'm thinking, Juan, you've seen hundreds of houses. Let's make sure this is a good one. Let's look for red flags. First protection right off the bat. Let's say you do like the house and you want to make an offer on it. And what I'm going to do is make an offer, but we're not going to make it blindly. I'm not going to trust the listed price. I'm going to show you exactly why that price is there and if it matches the rest of the neighborhood. What I do is whatever the subject property is, I go a mile radius around it and I look for recent sales, about 6 to 12 months. If all the houses sold around the price that we have making an offer for, very similar to it, and the risk of buying an overpriced house is now gone. Now, if I see that the house sold for much less, all the houses around are selling for much less, then I can tell you that the house is overpriced. Let's be careful. Let's say you move on, you want to buy the house now, and you make an offer and it's accepted. Now we have the best protection, which I believe gets rid of almost all of the risk, and that is getting an inspection. I only look for red flags, something that is obvious to, surface level things that you can find. But an inspector, he goes deep. He can't break any walls down or anything. He's going to get on the roof. He's going to look at the electrical systems, the plumbing systems. He's going to open and close doors and windows to make sure that everything's functioning well. And later on that night or the next morning, you're going to get a PDF copy, 30, 40 pages of a report that basically serves as an instructions manual for you to know what is up with the house, whether it has defects, whether you need to keep maintaining certain items, whether some items are probably at the end of their lifetime, all those things. So now you have all those protections, lowering the risk of buying a house. You get to say, do I really want this house? If you say, no, it's too much work, we're done right there. No longer buying a house that's risky. But if you say, Juan, despite its, the flaws that it has, I still love it and I can see myself living there, then we move on. You're no longer making a risky decision. You're making a well-informed decision. That's what we want to happen. Lastly, there's an appraisal process. If you don't know what an appraisal is, it's basically the bank hires a third party that's neutral and says, I'm going to look at the house also from the inside, count the bedroom, square footage, look at the condition, and then also look at the properties that sold around the neighborhood and say, hey, you know what? The price you guys have on that contract's fine. Or, hey, you guys are crazy. There's no way you guys should be buying at that price. So there's another protection at the end. And notice that you visited a house more than once. That's another protection. The first time you look at a house, it's like, oh my God, I love it. But then we got to run to the next. So when you do an inspection, you have more time. And now it's the second time you were in the house. And you can kind of mellow off and say, okay, I see some things that I didn't see before. There's lots of protections, guys. And I hope I helped you understand that if you are one of those people that are fearful of buying because of the risk it takes and you're like, I can't navigate the complexity of this process, call me. This isn't complex for me because I've done it hundreds of times. Now, if the reason is you're not prepared because of your job or if you accumulate debt and you just don't know how to maneuver that, guess what? I know how to maneuver that as well. So thank you. I hope you learned today that there's not so much risk as you might think in buying a house.